Hola a todos, estoy aquí para comunicaros que
My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Ready? Play.
Yeah, I was just going to say that Lloyd Harris made me laugh because of that James mistake when he confused him with Jordan Thompson on Saturday, I think. Yeah. Anyway, hello, Mario. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hopefully Nurlan isn't angry at us yet for being like 2 minutes late. Hi, Jake. And well, I mean, we have an exciting set of events to talk about. 3 ATP 250s, Almaty,
Absolutely.
Antwerp, Stockholm. Stockholm actually is the one probably closest.
We all need to follow WTA Weekly because one of the girls who are on the promo, friend of the show, has won a title today. So
that's true. I was thinking about it a lot this week. You know, anytime I actually wasn't watching that event in Osaka. Osaka was it? Osaka, yeah.
Yeah, Osaka. I guess she has kind of dominated almost every match.
Yeah,
So
today
she played really
especially,
well.
right? Yeah, today 2 matches and she lost like 10 games. I wasn't watching it, but anytime I saw her win a match, I was like, oh yeah, Susan Leemans went to the show. Anyway, yeah, maybe actually let's start with Stockholm. This is the one that's kind of closest to your heart, maybe, Mario, and also the one with the kind of most high-profile final. Tommy Paul beating Grigor Dimitrov. He actually overtakes him on the race to Turin as well. This is surely a topic that we'll cover. But anyway, yeah, for now, just talk about Tommy and his second Stockholm title.
Yeah, I mean, there's not ghosted, so probably it's a little bit too early to talk about it. But no, talking seriously, he played very well, actually, the whole week, more or less, you know, and especially today, returned incredibly well, made Dimitrov had a lot of doubts on his serve, especially the second serve. And yeah, Dimitrov has had some highs, but not, you know, consistently. While, you know, Tommy has, you know, his floor level in this match has always been kind of high. And yeah, he played really well overall, a very good season. I mean, he's won 3 titles. There are not many who has won so many ATP titles this year. Can be important for him because, you know, he's still quite far from Andrei Rublev in the race. But yeah, for sure, you know, being top 10 in the race, first of all, means that he is kind of, you know, in kind of pole position to break into the top 10 since he's never done it. So he, you know, can be you know, a groundbreaking moment for him, for his career, to break into the top 10, and he's in a good position to think about it until the end of the year. So, you know, of course, now there are still some couple important tournaments to play, and, you know, also a 250 event in case any of them needs to still gain some points after Paris. So yeah, it's been a great week. I mean, he's also had, you know, for example, semifinal, Wawrinka, you know, 4th match in 4 days for sure. You know, Tommy was in a comfortable position. But yeah, today a very high level, and the whole week overall, after, you know, this couple, you know, losses to Mahach in Asia that were, you know, of course acceptable, but were kind of a little bit of, you know, missed opportunity in terms of, you know, trying to gain those points to get closer to the top 10 this week. He, you know, he did his job. He won the title, a very good win today. So yeah, just confirming more or less, I think, what we have seen by him this year, which has been a very high level. Could have done a bit better in some moments of the year, probably, if he wanted to, get even higher in the race and in the ranking. But yeah, I think top 10 is a nice goal for him. If he can reach that, it will be a more than successful season for him.
Yeah, so how close do you think that Turin qualification is? Like, is this a possibility? Or oh wow, that's a great photo of Tommy Paul.
Yeah, 2021. The only title he had won before this year. I mean, it's basically, I assume that all the top 8 players will play, and it's more or less 500 points that he trails Rublev. So it's quite a lot, actually. He would need a big result, very big result, and he would also need some help by Rublev. Then, I mean, you can also say he can try surpassing De Minaur, which is 9th, and then you never know what can happen, for example. So even that can be important, because one thing is going to Turin as first alternate, but even if there's one withdrawal, I don't know, if Djokovic, for example, decides not to play, or somebody picks up an injury, of course, we all hope not. Of course, being 9th is, of course, even better than being 10th. And it's like, De Minaur is kind of 180 points, 200 points above. So I don't know. It looks difficult, to qualify to Turin. But yeah, I mean, he's never been, tomorrow he ties his best ranking of 12. So trying to, of course, break the top 10 can be a good goal. Turin, I mean, for now, I think try to overcome De Minaur if he can, and try to go there as first alternate can be, more possible, I think, because, 500 points is quite a lot at this point of the season.
Yeah, never met someone of the aura of Nurlan was the question that got me. It was the comment that got me grinning. Anyway, yeah, I think for someone like Paul, Tsitsipas, Dimitrov to qualify, I think they will still need like 1,000 points. So let's say Paris title would be the best option to get that, of course, because even if they win Vienna or Basel, it's still not enough. You still need to actually go on a run in Bercy. Well, there's still also the possibility of going Belgrade Metz after that. So I guess there are some options. But yeah, I think that what she said, like the number 9, it's actually pretty important to point this out, that yeah, getting number 9 could be like a nice realistic goal for him, especially given how De Minaur is playing and isn't really like 100% fit. So maybe that's an option he can actually go for. And of course, overtaking Dimitrov is not by much, but it's important. It's one step closer, really. And this week I mostly, I guess, followed that Wawrinka match in the semis, which I actually had we had a stream on the channel. I was here with James.
Yeah.
And yes, indeed, obviously it was just like the classic Tommy being super sharp, making you basically like struggle for balls even though you're on the attack, which is pretty wild, the way he can do that. The return skills, the athleticism, that was all a bit too much for Stan, who was getting a bit tired. We'll probably get to him in a moment as well. But all in all, of course, you gotta play at like a very high standard. You gotta execute your game at a very high standard to beat Tommy. And well, this week no one was able to do it. Dimitrov, speaking of him, I kind of felt like after that semi against Griekspoor, he just didn't look like he's exactly at the top of his powers right now, and that perhaps got confirmed by the final. He is also one of these guys who could potentially make a run for Turin, and I guess what kind of gives you a bit of confidence is that last year he made the final in Bercy, right? So he does that again, plus does something slightly more, and he's in probably. But yeah, I mean, after this Stockholm run, even though he made the final, there were some concerns.
Yeah, he's been able to find, as I said before, some brilliant moments. For example, I don't think, for example, Griekspoor, when he was 5 games all, love 30 on Dimitrov serves, I don't think he has many regrets for not having taken that second set, because Dimitrov found 2-3 games he was very, very high level. But yeah, this whole week it's been a bit like that. 2-3 games where his level has gone very high, playing very well, finding some very, very good shots, but then again, there were long moments of the match where he wasn't really looking that sharp. Today, of course, Tommy has exploited it very, very well, and even yesterday Grigspor has done it till a certain extent. So yeah, it's not looking the perfect. Last year, for example, I remember that it was it seemed more possible that he was about to go on a run in Paris, because he was ending the season very strong, while he's still playing quite well in this period, but yeah, without that their sharpness and what you need to sustain that level for a long part of the match. Even today, for example, Paul was up 4-1, some chances to go up a double break, and Dimitrov opens again the set, playing some very, very good points, and he has kind of 15 minutes where he's looking very, very well. But yeah, then again, it hasn't been something that he has been able to sustain over even an entire set or something more than that. So yeah, right now not really looking get the best of his possibility to try to get that very, very big result towards the end of the year.
Yeah, Stockholm and Antwerp final were tough for me to watch today, as there were like 3 challenger finals on around the same time. So basically, I didn't see it, but thankfully Mario did, as you could probably just hear. Almaty, I will be able to chime in a bit more, at least on the final, whereas on the rest of the week I'm fine as well. But yeah, let's speak of Stan Wawrinka, actually, the semi-finalist here. I mean, he's like one leg in retirement, pretty much. I was thinking if it maybe will be Basel. I don't know. I mean, right now he definitely got some incentive to play. Let's see if actually he can, sort of like keep grabbing wildcards next season, if the tournaments will be willing to give it to him, like the Australian Open, for example. And the level, to an extent, is still there. I mean, obviously, it's not the ball striking ability that will go. It's not really, well, it's mostly the consistency and some things footwork wise that's going to be the thing that actually for most players is the first thing that goes away. And I think even indoors, which usually wasn't like Stan's best conditions, right now, the fact that he can just do so much with the serve and just power through without thinking all that much, that's probably pretty good for him now. And some of the tennis he played this week was still just breathtaking. So all in all, definitely a fantastic run for him. First one of the season, really. First one in about a year or even more. I would say maybe first one since Umag in 2023. So, well, even if he had some quality matches this season, it's still an improvement, though, to play at least 3 of them in a row.
Yeah, I would say, of course, been a very nice run. Even, of course, above the expectations for him. I've heard he's at a conference, because there's been a Danish journalist that has sent me kind of every quote possible day after day. And I think after the first win he actually said that it's not in his plans to, call it a career this year. So even if it hasn't been said, in an explicit way, I'm probably guessing he will wait until next year to, decide, I don't know, how to end this journey. But yeah, I mean, it's been a great week talking about, this week has been very, very well, because he's been able, of course, as you said, indoors, also getting helps with his serve, to also in some sets, some moments which could have been a little bit difficult for him, just to hang in there in the score and then try to find a way, to win the match, because he still got that ability, of course, to stay there mentally. And it's been, of course, an improvement, even if his level of play has never been so bad this year, at least for the much part of the year, meaning that I rarely recall his match just to be, I remember some close matches that he lost. And yeah, of course, during this week, playing 4 matches in 4 days, and even against Tommy, it became very difficult for him. But yeah, still played at a decent level. Had a couple of chances to stay in the match a little bit more. Never thinking about winning, but yeah, just playing at a decent level, and he did it. Played some very good matches, stated some, let's say, longevity records, because it's been, third all the semifinalists, getting a top 10 win at 39 years old. Yeah, these are nice things, of course. I think this is a part of his career when he is competing, of course, probably also for that big win. For example, you beat Rublev, a top 10 player, and you're very happy and proud of yourself because, of course, at your age, to be able to do this, it's remarkable. And yeah, I think he can, of course, be happy. It would have been basically impossible to think about him beating again Tommy Paul and Dimitrov back to back. So, I think he did pretty much all what he needed to do this week.
Yeah, we have to tell John to sign up onto the ATP Tour and play Rublev, because clearly this is the guy you can beat if you're like over 39 years old, as the previous win against a top 10 player for a player of that age was against Andrei Rublev as well by Feliciano Lopez. Yep. Also, Jake, you're cheating. Yes, I saw that tweet. He tagged Nurlan on Twitter and said, "Nurlan, come in the chat," which is cheating because in the poll, we didn't know that this was going to be a potential thing. Anyway, there were just like 2 votes in that poll, and they were both for yes. So who cares in the end? Anyway, never mind. One, and I guess one more Stockholm shout out, or maybe 2 more. I think Striker getting that win over Berrettini is just so vital because he has to start gaining points at some point.
Yeah.
And the 2 set points he saved in the first set were absolutely magnificent. I don't think, even though this was Mateo's worst loss in a while, technically by ranking, I don't think he actually played poorly at all. And also Jacob Fernley, I guess, although he's looking a bit more human now after that patch of insane kicking and the win streaks and everything. Today, even he lost to Daniel Altmaier in Basel. And yeah, just messy performances, I would say, but still getting that main tour win in Stockholm. Of course, he's second after Wimbledon, but still first after that, British grass season where a lot of Brits speak, like Ryan Peniston and Jay Clark and everything. Jay Clark doesn't really peak on grass, but you know what I mean. So that was pretty big. Any other shout outs for Stockholm, Mario? Jesus, I almost called you Mattia because of Bellucci a second ago. I just still have Bellucci on my mind.
Yeah, I mean, not really. Of course, we were mentioning the semifinalists. Of course, Grigspor had a great week. Took full advantage of falling in. The quarter where you could thought about getting a run, and he did. Played quite well against Dimitrov too. You talked about Fernley, of course. He's proving to be competitive against these guys today. With Monica Bellucci. And so yeah, I mean, it's been a very fun week in Stockholm. We've seen some good matches, and yeah, a very nice tournament. That's more or less all the tournaments we had, because they all have had their kind of stories, to tell. Pretty much all of them a bit different. And so yeah, I think we can just move on if you are okay with it. But yeah, there's been, of course, plenty to. We could have even make an hour for every tournament, probably.
We definitely could, but we got to run indeed. Antwerp, let's talk about that longevity, because we mentioned that with Wawrinka and getting some records. So did Bautista Agut. Of course, he's the second oldest ATP Tour champion this year after Djokovic at the Paris Olympics, and also the second oldest from Spain after a guy we already mentioned. So Feliciano Lopez. Not Rafael Nadal, which, it makes sense if you start thinking about it. But then again, when I realized that Rafa's last title was when he was turning 36, That's kind of wild. But anyway, yes, Roberto Bautista Agut winning a title at 36. I think at the end of last year, there was also a moment when everyone was thinking, well, he might not retire, but next year he might play more like, let's say, Ramos Vignolas than top 50. And well, he just said no. He's actually really sharp recently indoors. He's beating all these younger guys. Lechechka, he's got a very good matchup against 4-1 now in the head-to-head. And a little unexpected maybe today that he ended up beating.
We will talk about Lechechka because, yeah, I mean, it's been a very good week for him. But today, yeah, I mean, he didn't look physically sharp because, that wasn't, I mean, clear. At least I've seen the match. I turned on when it was 3-love, the first set for Bautista. So from that point onwards, there wasn't the clear, thing that I can tell you he was trying there. But yeah, it's been a weird performance also physically wise from Lechechka. Anyway, yeah, Bautista Agut. I mean, every word is is even more than needed for him because he's proved year after year to be an incredible player. Somebody who can play unbelievably well, especially in these conditions. It's especially right now, are very good for him, and had, of course, a very, very nice week, and a good win against Felix Auger-Aliassime. We can tell a lot about him, but still you have to get that win, and Bautista was very, very good to come out as the winner from that match today. Of course, yeah, we can talk a lot about Lechechka and everything, but Bautista was incredibly solid. And yeah, I mean, Lechechka, as I said, a weird body language, but Bautista was in that title winner mode, didn't make any mistake. It was looking like Bautista Agut, you know what I mean? And it's nice, of course, to see him, still playing at this level. He saw that Ferrer wants Rafa to play in singles at the Davis Cup and needed to give a clear answer. But yeah, I mean, he is a great, of course, addition to the team. Probably he should play the singles, if we are honest. And I mean,
yeah, I was going to ask about that because, I mean, yeah, he's just won an indoor hard title. He won at Davis Cup in September. He beat both Fields and Lechechka and was very important in how well Spain did there because he basically, he didn't put that pressure on Alcaraz and Granollers. And yeah, I mean,
it's a tough call for sure.
It's a tough call. It's a tough call. It's like at some point they will have to think like whether you want to. Rafa made a decent case this week. No, John, we're not talking about that. I mean, we might mention it at the end. And by the way, even if we're mentioning exhibitions, we will only talk about Six Kings Slam because the UTS is even more irrelevant. Like, I don't even know when it's happening. Although I saw 1 point from UTS and 0 from the Six Kings Slam. So UTS wins. And I don't regret it. That Musetti point against Shelton was incredible. But anyway, yeah, maybe later.
I got
it. Yes, Rafa against Bautista Agut, really tough. I mean, at some point they will have to think about like what's more important, the send-off or winning. And I don't know if even there's a clear answer. If winning than Bautista Agut, it's not clear. So yeah, I have no idea what they will do. Obviously, with doubles, there are these issues in the Davis Cup as well, where like if the first 2 matches go to the same team, what then? Like, let's say Spain loses 0-2 and what happens then? They would still play like an exhibition-ish something, definitely, I think, with Rafa, but that's not exactly what you wanted, right? So I don't know. I mean, RBA will probably be able to play for Spain again. Rafa will not. I don't think so, Miles. I mean, in a year. I mean, maybe, but if he will, that will not mean that Spain is getting stronger. Let's say.
I mean, if I'm Bautista, giving current state of the Spanish team, I'm playing well, I just won a title, I would want to play this year, considering, that I am 36. And as, for example, Bautista himself has experienced, for example, last year, an injury can happen or something like similar. And if it happens again, it's pretty much the end for him, So his case is strong. We cannot deny it this year. Of course, there is also this Rafa situation, which is of course tough to handle, because you were mentioning, of course, that issue regarding the doubles. Because, for example, if it's the home and away ties, that even if Rafa doesn't play singles, the doubles is still a match that count something, because it can
and
be
it's
played
guaranteed to happen. Yeah, it's not going to be just an exhibition of sorts.
so you could make this choice a bit like light-hearted. Instead, in this case, it's a bit more difficult. But yeah, we cannot deny that Bautista is making a strong case, because it's been a while that he's been playing quite well, because also Davis Cup this year he played an important role in the group stage. He's done pretty well lately, and this week he's proved it, getting some very good wins and lifting a title, which is, if we talk, for example, about hardcourt, he is the oldest one this year, because Djokovic won on clay. And yeah, I mean, a great player, nothing really more to add.
Rafa will play one way or another, Jake. I just don't know, how. Also, Miles, they won't be playing in February, not Spain, because they always are hosting the groups. So they are directly in. They don't need to play the qualifiers. Anyway, yeah, I mean, unless something changes with that, but I don't think so. I mean, Spain will definitely get one of the groups, right? Anyway, they will have a wildcard again. I mean, let's be honest. Yeah, that's kind of it about Bautista Agut, I suppose. Ishil Khachanov, though, yeah, just one break, I think, of serve surrendered on the way to the final. He was absolutely fantastic. He was the best player in the event. And as I said, I didn't watch the final. So you've already kind of given your comments. Obviously, I mean, this is, I think I saw a tweet today that kind of said like, oh, the Hedge Cup proved that he can be dangerous in these conditions. I mean, we already know that. We already know he can be dangerous anywhere. So I think for him, it's a bit of a routine result in a way, even though it's not routine, because it's just the third ATP final and he was going for the second title and everything. But yeah, I mean, he was the best player in the event, I think, up until the final. Just something didn't work out today. Had an easy draw, let's be honest. What?
Not really.
Tsitsipas in the quarter? I mean, who else do you want him to play? I mean, out of the players in the event who
I mean,
there,
it's still at 250,
so, Marcos Giron in the semis was also looking really sharp. I mean, yeah, I think compared to all the events, like the Minor was horrible both matches. Sure, I mean, Munar and Altmaier was a good start.
Yeah, but it's the first two rounds. It's okay. Lechka is also somebody who's getting the ranking, to get a seed in these draws. So, he maybe avoids in the first round to. I mean, it's an okay draw, it's not some draw.
Yeah, I mean, it's not horrible, but like looking at the entire draw, like there wasn't really a possibility for it to be much tougher, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, from the baseline today was messy, when the rally started. Just to think that he hit 10 aces in the first set, which is a very high number. But, when he put the first serve in and it, Bautista managed to return, Bautista won 64% of the points on his first serve. And many, many mistakes, the body language was a little bit weird today, probably, there wasn't a clear thing, I just assumed that something could have not been, absolutely okay, unless it just been, a bit of frustration coming in at some point, because Bautista played at a very, very high level. But yeah, I mean, a great run still. Of course it was a bit expected, because we've seen him playing very well lately and only losing to basically the top ranked players. So yeah, it's becoming kind of routine to see him winning against these guys that he beat. Even Tsitsipas, for example, 2 out of 2 this year. And
pretty brutal both times, right? Like it was just like
absolutely
routine. There was absolutely nothing that
basically
Tsitsipas could do both matches.
So and even in very different conditions too. So there's not even that kind of pattern that you may find about. Okay,
you'd like a clay win there. You'd like a clay win there to really say that okay, he's beating Tsitsipas in every condition.
No, okay, for sure that's right. But
Indian Wells, sure, it's definitely a lot different than Antwerp. Yes.
But yeah, I also thought that it was, and I think not only me and you, coming into this final as the favorite because he was looking very, very well. He had good wins, even the asset against Giron, he lost a set, but was looking well. Giron is also a player that is, it kind of makes you, facing some kind of different challenge than other guys on tour. So he managed to win that match pretty well. And yeah, I mean, it happens. What can we say? I hope it was just my perspective that physically there could have been something barring him a little bit, because at some point it started getting weird, especially at the end of the match. But yeah, maybe it was just that he wasn't really believing in it anymore. I don't know. So we will see what happens.
Yeah, maybe let's talk about someone who didn't go that deep, although he won a match, and that's Alex de Minaur, the number 1 seed. He was back for the first time since the US Open, and I mean, yeah, he was rough. I don't know if it's just rust or if it's just not being fit enough to play yet, and he's forcing himself to try to make Turin, probably the latter case. But if he's going to be playing like this in Vienna and Bercy, then the chances that he actually does make it are looking pretty slim. I think we said last time that like a potential like status quo can be maintained in this ATP race as well, because the players from like below 8, they aren't really that threatening unless there's like an unexpected champion in, let's say, Paris. Even Vienna, honestly, I think only Zverev is qualified out of the Vienna players, so maybe someone in Vienna winning can really switch it up. But looking at what de Minaur was doing this week, I'm not sure he can really be that player in Vienna who picks up the pieces. He's also facing Struff right away, and I know we've had some content with Struff from Frankfurt on the channel where he was talking about being injured recently. But that's still a tough match for Alex right away, and yeah, he just didn't really feel you with confidence this week.
Yeah, I think you said basically everything. He's been, of course, put up a good fight with what he had, but yeah, he didn't look like he could have really done much better. And yeah, definitely rough performances, and we'll see if he gets a little bit better. Maybe he needs some matches, I don't know, but the thing is that he needs some kind of big result in this tournament. If he was like, I don't know, for example, Casper Ruud, he's not playing great, but he doesn't need a big run in order to qualify. He needs to he needs to avoid that other players somehow find, for example, a Paris title and everything. De Minaur is the guy who is chasing them. And so, of course, it's not looking great for him at this point. And so we'll see what happens this week. You said everything about his performances, which, were not what we have seen this season until the injury. And yeah, let's see if he can manage maybe to get a little bit better. But as you see in this tournament, especially Vienna or even Basel, the 500 are tournaments when you cannot really, it's not really possible for you in most cases to start slow. And he needs to be good straight away, because he gets, of course, tough matchups right from the beginning. And so but even Paris, being a 1 week master, unless, I don't know, you can have luck, but it's not guaranteed. So he needs to get better very soon. If he's fit enough, he can probably do it. If he's not still fit enough, and then probably it's I also think that he probably would need the off season and try to get better all over again. That's the feeling I have. we will see what happens.
Is Ruud already qualified? No, I mean, no, definitely
No.
not. We only have 3 players technically in. I mean, Medvedev, Fritz, they're safe. Djokovic, I guess there are a lot of scenarios where he can still be out of the top 8. Ruud and Rublev, definitely. I think, yeah, certainly there is that possibility that Ruud and Rublev will just do horrible until the end of the year, but they will still make it because the players behind them aren't also like just, peaking right now, maybe other than Tommy, but Tommy has a lot to gain. And also there's still that possibility that someone will just win Paris. And what Miles is saying, sort of doing the double, 1,500 points, it still would have to be someone within the top 16. There's a 300-point gap between Musetti at 16 in the race and Draper at 17. Actually, Draper and Fils and Humbert pretty much, they have the same number of points. So these guys, like even Fils doing Vienna plus, Basel plus Paris, he still probably doesn't get in. So these players are pretty much out. Musetti isn't going to do Vienna, Paris, let's be honest. Rune, maybe. I mean, he's already won Paris. Tiafoe isn't going to do it, not after the US Open, not in his, post-US Open form. Tsitsipas isn't going to do it, obviously. So maybe just Dimitrov, Paul, someone like that. But yeah, it's tough.
Nobody is doing it.
Unlikely. Yeah, it's pretty unlikely for someone to do a Jack Sock. I was looking at it the other day, and Sock before
especially
Paris,
doing the double. I
can
imagine
the double, especially, but
I can imagine somebody
looking
at
Turin,
but yeah, the double.
Yeah, I was looking at Jack Sock the other day because I was thinking, where was he in the race before he had that Paris run? And he was 22nd. So it's clear that the gaps were just very different because now, 22nd, we have Alejandro Tabilo at 1948. So even if Tabilo wins Basel, Paris, and I think even basically he would also have to win the 250 and hope that Rublev doesn't gain any points. So yeah, I mean, no one is going to do a Jack Sock sort of.
But I mean,
literally.
Unfortunately, this year, the cutoff is going to probably be, 3,700 points, something like that, because Rublev
could even be almost 4K. Yeah.
Yeah, because Rublev is currently 8 and has more than 3,500. So yeah, it's very high, the cutoff this year.
That's why doing a Jack Sock is just impossible, basically.
For example, it's a bit not that big, the gap between Medvedev and Rublev, in terms of comparing to other years where, I don't know, for example, last year Sinner was 4th and ended the year with more than 6,000 points. It's difficult that this happens this year unless, I don't know, Medvedev suddenly peaks for the final parts of the year, but it's not looking likely at this moment.
Yeah, just obviously we have to remember that this year we have different point distribution round by round in event, so it matters. However, in 2017, Jack Sock needed 2,765 points to make the ATP finals. So that kind of tells you that, this year it's just so much tougher to go on a run like this. All right, let's move on to Almaty. Karen Khachanov. Well, in the end, it wasn't kind of like the unexpected champion we thought that Almaty was maybe going to give us, but still, it's a massive achievement for him. Second title of the season. I think it was only the second time he made 2 finals in a year as well, which is a bit shocking. Yeah. I think over the years, he was maybe more about these quarterfinal, semifinal rounds in the big events, rather than actually peaking for the smaller ones, other than, of course, in 2018 when he won 3 titles. But yeah, I mean, this kind of just puts Khachanov in a weird spot this season because, well, I don't think he's been good, but he's won 2 titles. So I guess if I'm rating his season so far, I would give him a B still because, he got 2 titles. So
yeah, for example, last year he entered back the top 10 after the French Open when he reached that quarterfinal against Djokovic, but it was not, due to having picked, I don't know, titles. It was because he started getting very deep in slams, the semifinal at the US Open and then at the Australian Open, the quarterfinal at the French, something similar in Masters. And this year, these things haven't really happened for him. He won, of course, 2 titles, and so of course this I would say, saves this season because, besides this, he hasn't really done that well. We were talking about him last year as being the guy that it's very rare for him to lose against players that, he shouldn't lose against. And this year it has happened for him. But yeah, in the end, winning 2 titles is still a nice thing, of course, for a player. The feeling of getting a title into, his own hand is, of course, very, very nice. So yeah, I kind of agree with you in, giving him that B. Of course, he can be a little bit more consistent. We over the past, 2022-23, we started watching a Khachanov, which had become very, very consistent. But yeah, this year hasn't happened. But yeah, of course, winning 2 titles, 250 titles, yeah, still something, of course, that are good. Not many players, of course, are able to do it. So he will be satisfied with this week for sure. He has all the right to do it. Let's see if he can. He's also that age. He can still try to get back, of course, all those. All that consistency that he has had over the past. Let's see what happens from here. But yeah, judging this week, he did what he had to do. Even today, he could have closed in 2 sets, and then he's been good in still being able to reset everything after losing that set and getting this title.
Is that like a very double meaning thing? Because I don't know the exact details of that ball story with Rublev, but I know he kind of almost lost it. Was it because he botched it? Because if he did, that is pretty good, John. But yeah, I don't know the exact details of that surgery story of that.
Okay, yeah, I know it. Now I got it.
So is it because of that also, or
yeah, because of that surgery he talked about?
Because if that's what John meant, if that was all in that, then yeah, it's a really.
I think that's what he meant. Yeah, I think.
Then
think
that's good. I appreciate that. Then.
I think it is.
Unless it was random, then go away.
By the way, I know we have to talk about somebody else.
Yes, I mean, absolutely. We have to talk about Gabriel Diallo, who will be satisfied with this week. We can definitely say that. Although not winning the title, we know that players sometimes feel a little left out after the finals. But now he breaks the top 100. He's been in ridiculous form since, let's say, middle of July. And 28 and 8 since that time frame. Yeah. I mean, I think when he played his season in 2023, which was his first full season in the pros, it was completely satisfactory. But then the first half of the year didn't really seem to be getting him closer to I don't know, just let's say developing that raw potential into an actual game. Right now he's there. He took that leap. Even though he recently lost that 125 points for Bratislava, he still is able to make the top 100 here, which is amazing. So probably a big rise as well coming up in the first half of the year in 2025. Obviously, he's kind of very in the Shelton mode for me, where he has big weapons, but at the same time so much athletic potential. Doesn't always use it, but he's really getting better at it now. Very often he was just much more consistent than the other players of the ground this week, like Tabilo, Choric, guys you would usually expect maybe to outrally him. Yeah. And for his size, I mean, he's such a fantastic mover too. And yeah, just couldn't get the final done. Although the second set fight back was really, really impressive as well. Have a feeling he is going to be Iga's coach at one point next year, Gabriel Diallo.
I also had this thought.
Muratoglu. Okay. Yeah. I was very surprised because I didn't see the Muratoglu message, and I was shocked. Okay.
No, yes. I mean, you spoke a lot about the fight. About him, of course. It doesn't happen often to a player like him to leaving the Louis Armstrong Stadium after losing, with a crowd on their feet. And that's what happened because, as you can imagine, I saw, of course, everything of the match he played at the US Open against Tommy Paul. And It was a very, very good performance. It was like, come on. This guy is very good in of course, rally tolerance also. He has a lot of what it takes to be that modern tennis guy. What tennis requires you to do right now. He has these qualities. Of course, everything can still be developed even more, that's for sure. But you, as you said, the form he is right now, and he's winning so many matches in this part of the year. And I remember seeing him also last year, and I was also a bit disappointed, because at the beginning of this year, because I thought that him, like, this guy is a top 100, he should be. But he was struggling to get into that reaching the top 100 form, because we know that all these players kind of need to have some good few months to try to attack that top 100 spot, and then of course starting to get competitive also on the biggest stages. And that's what he's done so far. And of course I hope he can continue, but he should, because he has very, very good qualities. And as you pointed out, and it's important to do it, despite being, of course, over 2 meters tall, he has a lot of these qualities of being good when the rally starts, and it's not easy to put him away. And even when you would think it could have been more easier to do it. And so it's been very nice, of course, to follow him. He fell up short this time, but if he keeps going this way, he should win a title in his career. So let's see. I really think he will pretty soon, if he keeps developing.
Finally, Canadian player that is a bit more stable than Felix
Probably.
and Denis Shapovalov.
Probably.
Especially Shapovalov. Probably not the same potential, but still. Really excited for the first half of 25, as we said, he just will not be defending too many points there. Well, what else was the story in Almaty? Last week, we definitely mentioned Justin Engel, who ended up winning a match against Coleman Wong, becoming, at just 17 years of age, becoming the first player born in 2007 to win an ATP Tour Main Draw match. He also played very fine against Fran Cerundolo. There was this like Fran was playing a very solid, composed match up until 5-4 Ferilov serving for the win, when he just gifts 4 errors in a row to Engel, which is very Fran-like. I mean, the semis against Diallo, it was a complete donation. I think Diallo played very, very well in the first 3 rounds, but the semis just was a gift. But anyway, that's not what I'm talking about right now. Engel was fantastic. I mean, the serve, the forehand, the way he developed them even over the summer, when on clay in Germany in the summer, you could only see that he's very well developed athletically, strikes the ball pretty well, but there wasn't that much weight on it, that much pace. Seems like he's developing by the minute. I think they also have a really good system in Germany right now, because he's got many, many talents around his age. So he's practicing with the Dura Palomero, Schoenhaus, and these guys will be helping each other rise as well. But Engel is clearly ahead of the pack right now. I think that many people are comparing him to Zverev, because in some ways they are definitely similar in how they strike the
simply
ball
because you turn out the TV, you see him the Adidas kit sleeveless, and you think we have the new Zverev, but not really. At least not.
I see that possibility. I see the potential to compare him to him, because it's kind of a similar style of footwork. The backhand, the forehand actually is a short compared to Zverev, which is important. So I mean, there's really lots to like there. Of course, sort of thinking that he will do Zverev-like things right now, that's just guessing more or less. But the potential is there undeniably, and that's a fantastic prospect that just emerged there. Anyone else you wanted to talk about?
It also depends on how they develop, because if I think about Zverev, now we talk about him, this way because he's developed in this way. But I remember but even in 2017, when I saw him playing live in Rome, winning the title, of course, and in that final, he had the possibility to develop in the other direction, as a player. It's always a mix of factors, and so that's why I told about the kid, because I'm like, it's a bit early. I also see why, of course there are people who say this, but yeah, I mean, we'll see in which direction it will go. Of course, the potential is great. I mean, the youngest player to win an ATP match since Alcaraz in Rio. So it's for sure somebody we will keep an eye on, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Mario, I've been watching this sport for so long. Just a second ago, I was just reminiscing about the 2014 Hamburg run that Zverev had, that kind of like greenish shirt when he played Ferrer in the semis.
Yeah, I remember.
Only one game, but that was still a great run. And then you say Rio, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, I was watching that. I was actually in Marseille that week. And I just came back from the courts and was watching Alcaraz on my laptop. And of course, that was such a big run there. Coria, Ramos Vignolas, the matches, just an absolute sensation. I mean, yeah, these are some amazing memories from these top players that we have right now. And kind of like, the first time we were able to, let's say, witness them on the big stages.
The development also, because we were also talking about, now there's a big talk about the big three. And, for example, I haven't been there since, the first ATP win. So, watching these Grand Slam champions as we are watching right now, that we know their story since the beginning, it's actually, very cool. And I also often wonder about, for example, this player we talk about, for example, getting the first win. And I'm like, who knows? Which of them will be, will develop in the right way and actually become a big thing in the game. It's always a good question that we actually don't always have the answer, because even guys with so much potential and all the qualities, of course, a lot of things can happen to anyone. So until it really happens, we are never 100% sure.
Yeah, people sometimes just like throw around these predictions. This guy will be top 20 in 5 years. But I mean, the reality is they're just guessing, because, well, nature is important, but nurture is also huge.
Yeah.
And that's a conversation that can happen in many different things. Also in tennis, apparently. All right, let's move on maybe to the exhibitions quickly, and then we'll just mention Basel, Vienna to finish it off. So the exhibitions, indeed, UTS, I don't think it's worth talking about it, because like no one cares who won it.
I haven't
Sometimes
watched
interesting points, but yeah,
both actually. I haven't watched, so I will say
but
what I say.
At least we can say something, right?
Yeah, of course.
There are stories there, whereas UTS, it happens sort of like every single month or something like that. I never know when it's even happening, or I'm not ready for it.
At least it's a bit easier for me, to comment on the 16th Slam, because
I
have the score lines. They are similar. They are similar, to the one I am used to. So, I see the score and I'm able to think about the match. I was shocked because there wasn't, when Djokovic took the tiebreak against Sinner, it was the first deciding set, of the event. And I saw the score and I was like, 1-0 now, one games to love. It's not a 10-point tiebreak. And I was kind of shocked, because I thought, they would have gone quicker. I mean, more or less the result we were expecting, at least meaning that the final was the one we were expecting. Once we saw that the players were playing, seriously the event, I think the two best players right now reached the final, and it was a close one. And once again, the guy who wins the first set doesn't win the match. But no, I mean, I think, of course, the biggest storyline of the exhibition has basically been, of course, Nadal playing and the match against Djokovic, which I know that has been very messy, actually. but yeah, still with some nice moments. Of course, I've seen, also the clips of the interviews they gave after the match, the kind of ceremony they had. It's been very nice, a fantastic rivalry. I just don't like the narrative, the final Djokovic Nadal match, because I'm like, matches like this, they can always play them, because if they get a deal,
They will probably, yeah. I think it's likely it will happen at some point, yeah.
If they get a deal next year, I don't think Rafa, but then I don't know. But yeah, I've been the Wall event kind of struggling, because I've seen that, it's been an event, of course, played with the right mindset from the players. But then at the same time, it's just that for me, it doesn't really mean anything. For example, I had the final Sinner Alcaraz. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it would have been a great match, and I'm pretty sure it's been. Sinner won fair, but I don't really, think it matters anything, just no, nothing actually.
Yeah,
6 million.
Personally, I didn't watch any point. I almost did. There was this highlight of a Carlos forehand that showed up on my timeline, and I was like, stopped it midway. Okay. And I was like, whoa, no, I cannot. I should.
No, if they are on the timeline, I watch.
I did. I just wanted to avoid it, even 1 point. But I did watch a point from the UTS. Yeah, Six King Slam. It's funny because we have that Sinner Alcaraz storyline where, like, has he beaten him this year, or does this count? It's a fun mess. I like that. I like that aspect of it, how the two sort of like fan bases can now feud against one another. That's really good. I like the chaos of that. Otherwise, yeah, I just don't care about that event whatsoever. I didn't watch the Djokovic Nadal match. I saw some comments on the timeline, but yeah, I'm not really gonna like go deeper into it. Obviously, not my cup of tea. It is what it is. And yeah, I think they might actually play. They might actually play at some point exhibitions like this. It's pretty much the first time in history where we have three legends of the game retiring at more or less the same time.
Yeah,
even Pete and Andre, they played they didn't play a singles exhibition, at least to the best of my knowledge, but they played that doubles thing with Federer and Nadal. Like it's possible that we're going to have some matches like this between the big three even after they're gone, because they are simply retiring within more or less the same. Obviously, Djokovic, Nadal, Murray, that's going to be a bit easier because Roger, well, he's going to get older and older. And they are also going to get older and older. So
that's right. But
anyway, how is Munar able to win on hard courts? Didn't he lose to Alice today? But from time to time, you can outgrind people on hard courts still.
He had match point against Fritz in 2022 Indian Wells.
Is that the same one where he lost? Did Ibing Wu beat him eventually? That was 2023. Yeah, never mind. But he almost beat Ibing Wu also in Indian Wells. Of course, Indian Wells being a very clayish hard court, that suits him. Disgraceful that the Australian Open would give Tomic a wild card. Their relationship, I think, is pretty.
No, I feel
rocky.
Like it's towards me because it starts with my name, this comment.
Probably.
But yeah, what to say? No, I don't know what to say because, of course, it's something that is completely out, of course, of our, of our control. I also never liked this way that the Grand Slam have to, exchange wildcards between them. But yeah, about the wildcard system, I also think that it's not fair in first place, actually. So as much as I can criticize the decision, I cannot really, call for fairness in the wildcard choice process,
Well, maybe. Yeah, we don't really know the details of like what went wrong in that whole relationship. Of course, for a while he was playing a lot of Davis Cup and stuff. Yeah, he definitely gave them a lot as well. Yeah. However, last time he had an Australian Open qualifying wildcard, I'm pretty sure he also sparked a controversy because he played with COVID. But anyway, yeah, that's a topic for another day. That's just Bernie. He's probably gonna. Well, like he's not. I think he's like 95% sure he's gonna make it now. So that's gonna be cool. Anyway, 5 last minutes. Basel, Vienna, ATP 500s coming up. Last ATP 500s of the year. We actually don't have like other than Zverev, we don't have like the biggest names. Medvedev pulled out with that shoulder injury, which was also bothering him at the Six Kings Slam. Apparently, had to play that, but had to skip Vienna. Very normal. Anyway, Sinner and Alcaraz, of course, not playing as well, which is very smart from them, I think.
Yeah.
And otherwise, we're just gonna have these guys from like 7 to 15ish, 16ish, really fighting for that ATP final spot. That's obviously kind of the biggest thing.
I love because in Italy, of course, tennis right now it is incredibly popular and famous, especially everything regarding Sinner. So there is this storyline that goes on newspaper that's like, he's not defending the title. Oh my God, he will lose the points. And I'm like, and what's the issue with that? He has so many. Really doesn't need to defend any of those points, and even if he doesn't really have to defend in Paris, so it's kind of we are there. Anyway, yeah, I will probably be in Vienna for the quarterfinal day because I'm going to Vienna for personal reasons on Thursday. I arrived there late in the evening, so I'm like, why not? I saw that it's kind of cheap, so why not? But yeah, I mean, probably better than these big names won't play these events actually, because we will see them in Paris and in Turin. So, it's not like we're going to really miss them a lot, I think. So it's actually 2 very nice, tournaments where we will see if there is some, of course, some particular storyline or if, I don't know, for example, let's see if some of these guys who are chasing for Turin are suddenly able to do something, crazy, like winning the title, and then they get into conversation, especially, I mean, it will be difficult because, for example, there is Tommy Paul in Vienna. He plays on the other side of the draw, for example, from Zverev. So he will avoid him, and he has a tough first round. We will see, all of them kind of need a great run. So we'll see everybody what kind of thing does. There was the farewell ceremony of Thiem tonight, even if he still has to play his match, against Darderi. They kind of played an exhibition. I didn't really, I have to admit, understand what it's like if there's going to be, but I mean, it's going to be his final tournament. I think it's also worth mentioning, of course, he is a Grand Slam champion, somebody who has done something, let's say, in this sport. So, it's, we have another retire. This year has been so many, I don't know why. It feels like they've been much more than usual, but maybe it's just me. High profile for sure.
Just the other day, I learned that Roman Yebavi retired, and I was shocked because I wanted to watch his last match in Liberec. Why not?
Yeah, there's been Antoine Bellier.
Oh, Antoine Bellier, yeah, this
last week too. But yeah, especially high profile. It's been more than usual. No, I make this, because I think that overall there always are every year kind of many retirements because
Dr. Ivo kinda retired this year, because
the generations
he announced it at least
passing by. But this year we've seen many between WTA and ATP, also former top 20, top 10 player, even Grand Slam champions, a lot of them retiring. So yeah,
I think the team story, obviously, it's huge. Some people wanted him to draw like an even bigger name and just go out
probably
with a bang.
Would have been better.
Then again, Darderi is like one of maybe 2-3 players in the draw he can actually beat, I think. So, well, if he plays Nishikori or Draper in the second round, that would already count. But yeah, no idea, of course.
Yeah, but I don't trust him to even be able to beat Darderi. Then I don't.
I don't trust him at all, but I also don't trust Darderi with how he's doing.
Okay. That's
now.
right.
So
That's right.
That level of not trustworthy, not being trustworthy is pretty similar for me there.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, I mean, just no idea how it's gonna go. Definitely, guys, watch out for Jerome Kim playing Ugo Humbert tomorrow in Basel. I'm not going to say the same about Joel Schwarzler playing Zverev in Vienna because that's probably just too far. Pretty fun stories though there, of course. The 18-year-old and Jürgen Melzer, his coach, won this event twice in a row back in the day. And 2 quick questions from Keen here as well. Would you guys be in favor of taking away Let's for Serve? I don't think it's the most important topic right now, but I think it's working okay in the junior system. I wouldn't really mind it, to be honest, but it's also not a topic that's like, very pressing for me.
Know.
And just answer the other one, and then you have a go at it. How far do you both think Enrico Della Valle can go to? Probably not much further from here, but well, we've had some pretty random like late breakthroughs from Italians. Agamenone, Brancaccio, right? Like, is he worse than Agamenone or Brancaccio? I don't think so.
No,
then again, we see that
me,
these breakthroughs, they are very like short-lived, right? Like if Brancaccio pushes it to the top 100 almost, he goes down to 500, and I think the same.
Exactly. But I don't think he's worse than them. So, I mean, worse, it's a bit disrespectful as a word, you know.
Like worse as a
is as good as them,
you know? Something like that.
Let's say
you seem to have a take on that.
What?
The
let.
Yeah.
I mean, I said no first because, you know, I'm kind of okay with things how they are. I mean, it's not tragic, even if it's not like that. I don't really have a clear, you know, I prefer the game staying this way, but simply because I'm comfortable with the game, you know, staying the way I watch it and I like it, you know. But as I say, it's not the most important thing. You know, if suddenly they decide to introduce this rule, I'm not going to protest on the street. So.
I totally get that. Yeah, as I said, it's just not a pressing thing for me. If it happens, okay.
Different when they say, I don't know, best of 3, best of 5, you know, these are topics that for me are more,
it's a more, it kind of changes the meta of the game. Like if you really like change the format, you know, there would be players who would be doing better because of the format or worse because of the format.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no one who would be doing better or worse because of Let's. It would be for every player. But
wants tennis balls to be yellow.
Yeah, Keen keeps going at me with these balls. And to your question, Nurlan, I don't think that having a lot of hair is uncomfortable. I never really got that. Like, I know some people say that. I've never felt it. I'm not afraid of leaving my house with my hair wet. I have to wash it pretty often, but I think even when they were shorter, I had to wash it pretty often. And I never felt like I know that people say that in the summer, they want to have like shorter hair because it's like less warm or something like that. I've never experienced that. So from my perspective, there's absolutely zero disadvantage to having hair on my head. And I don't like how I look in like really short hair. Right now, I have it maybe even a bit too long, but that will, of course, be probably, I'll do something about it in the next few weeks. Lower the net, says that actually could be a change that would impact.
I'd say
the game.
Rafa
Nadal
rid of the net.
Is out. You know, if the net is lower, Rafa Nadal is a nobody. Who wins is Daniel Medvedev, Adrian Manarino, Gilles Simon.
Adrian Manarino would be unbeatable.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, do we have anything else left to say? I know that you are on a pretty tight schedule, so yeah, not gonna keep you here for that much longer. We still gave you guys over an hour of content. Thank you for everyone. Thank you to everyone who appeared in the chat. To our producer as well, of course. You can see the subscriber count on the screen. Hopefully, it will keep growing, as we also keep growing. As
and
people,
reach Yannick
tennis
Sinner.
Watchers. And yes, Yannick Sinner, by the way, where is he?
He will lose the points from Vienna, so we will get closer.
Aren't we? No, because, okay, so in the race, we are ahead, right?
Yeah, in the race, we are ahead. But in the ranking,
this is actually a good goal. This is actually a good goal because Yannick Sinner, when he loses the Vienna points, he's going to have 11,420 points. So we could try to get to where Yannick Sinner is right now by the end of next week. Maybe we can tie Yannick Sinner for 11,400. By the way, 420 as well. For all the stoners out there.
Until he wins in Paris, and then it's over.
Yeah, then it's over. But eventually he will drop. You know, he could get to 16K like Novak one day. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys. Thank you, Mario, and we'll see you some other time.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.